Oh, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. I just wanted to get on here because it's been a little bit. It's been a little bit. I was venturing to do lives like pretty regularly. And obviously, when you put the expectation out for yourself as a creative to do things in a structured way, it doesn't always turn out that way. So we'll see what happens. But for this little live series that I'm going to do. It's called BTS Emi Lou, which means behind the scenes Emi Lou, because as you all know, I am a creative entrepreneur, a dancepreneur, and I love advocating that journey for other dancers because I do think that all dancers, all dance artists are entrepreneurs of some sort. We just really haven't tapped into it. And we don't really talk about it a lot in our traditional forms of training and education and all that stuff. But that's besides the point because obviously you kind of have an idea of what I do in my business, but I'm here to talk about the behind the scenes look. So, I am in the process of doing some shifting myself. So, I've been in business for about 1 year exactly. And I started out my business thinking that, okay, like I want to show up for people, for dance artists, and I want to help them nurture their own business, grow their own business, put on the mindset of a dancepreneur and be like, okay, what can I do to optimize, how I make money from my art, to really own the mentality that I am a business owner, see myself as a professional, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what I've kind of been devoting myself to as a coach. And I started doing that, yeah, through coaching. And that was like my main product and service that I would do one-on-one coaching. I dabbled in group settings, but things just never took out. And I realized that over time, I was like, you know what? I really just like speaking and I really like just conjuring up new thoughts in people and challenging people and educating people on what the possibilities are and how to go about that. Excuse my cat. She loves making an entrance every single time I am on the computer. But regardless, yeah, so now I'm at this place, being far enough in my journey with my coaching business that I'm like, you know what? Yeah, like I said, I just like doing the speaking part. I just like the educational part. I like presenting things to people. And then it's like, whatever you want to do with that information is up to you because it's your life. You choose to do with things as you choose. And I also found that maybe it's just in like the stage in my life where I'm at where I want to, have more space to myself. And I'm on my own personal journey, right? As is everyone in the world. And I realized that coaching and the hand holding and the accountability part was really draining on me. And it didn't really help fuel me back. Like the effort in wasn't returning in energy to me. And so I needed to shift. And so I really shifted to this new kind of business model where I was like doing more workshops and being face to face with people and showing up and educating. I also became an educator formally, teaching at UNT, University of North Texas. What's up? So yeah, all of these skills are being honed in me to show up, to speak, to educate, to be in spaces, right? And I've also seen that over time. I've been in a lot of different spaces that aren't just dancer specific. I'm rubbing elbows, whatever, rubbing parts of my body. Okay, whatever. You get the point. I've been in spaces where non-dancers exist, right? I know we have this like funny lingo with like in the dance world where like you're a dancer or you're a non-dancer, but whatever. So I've been in spaces with like other small business owners, other creative entrepreneurs, other organizations, city council members, city members, all of this stuff. And so a lot of the time I found my conversations ending with being like, well, my only product or service is me serving dancers. And then they're like, cool, good luck with that. And so, yeah, it felt like there was something else to be nurtured. If I connected with people on a really amazing level and it just ended with like, okay, cool, you can't help me, or I can't help you, I can't support you. It felt like, yeah, that's not a good place to be. So again, a bunch of soul searching recently with the help of my coach, Lindsay Kirkendall. Holla to Lindsay. Yeah, I just feel like I'm shifting in my business. Now I'm trying to create two separate entities. Two separate entities, you say. What are those entities? Well, I still need to make money for my family, right? And I need to do it in a way that makes me feel really good and really in line with what my vision is for the work that I want to do in the world and how I operate and what my skill sets are. And I really come to realize that the work that I've been doing is just speaking. And I really love speaking. I really love educating people. I really love being this vocal source of inspiration and motivation and provocation, right? And everything that I've been doing is doing that, right? I just haven't actually clicked it in my head that I'm like, oh man, I'm a speaker, I'm a speaker, I'm a speaker. And so I'm really now starting to put my energy into like, what does that mean? Like, if I'm really leaning into this thing for myself as a performer, right? Like, clearly that's also how my dancing journey has allowed me to become this performative speaker, communicator. And so now I'm like, okay, how can I lean into that more? How can I optimize that for myself and for my family, and providing means for me in the work that I do, providing means for myself and sustaining my life because of the work that I do. Okay. And then so my other entity at this point that I'm trying to, again, to investigate and to lean into more is creating a nonprofit entity around the work that I do for dancers specifically. So I still want to serve dancers. I want to be there for dancers. I want to support, consult, provide resources, provide inspiration, provide provocation, like be a thought leader, and also like instigate change in other organizational systemic kind of like ways so that we can elevate our dance industry and community, right? And so I feel like the most impactful way to do that, and the most important way for me to feel like it's in alignment, is to create a nonprofit entity. And so I'm really on this journey right now, early days, to start this nonprofit. Again, what does it look like? What's its name? What is its mission, vision, and values? Like, it's kind of like starting another business all over again, honestly. And so if you're in the nonprofit sector, or if you're in the for-profit sector, or early days in either one, like, this maybe will be, this little series that I'm going to do is maybe going to be beneficial to you. So follow me as I figure out what that looks like, how to build this from the ground up, how to do it right as well, like actually filing and doing all the things, and diving into this like grant writing world, which is like totally new for me. Like, this might be beneficial for you guys. So I just wanted to kind of record my process and record my thoughts, and hopefully it'll help somebody else figure out their process. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I want to serve dancers, and I feel like this is in alignment with the greater work that I want to do in the world. So, and bridging the gap between my two entities of me being in spaces where I speak and inspire other people, like, that conversation can continue, because I can say, hey, if you want to support me, if you want to connect with me through all the other things that I do, or support my nonprofit work to help other dancers be awesome, right? Like, support me, donate to my cause, right? Donate to my nonprofit. And so these things like bounce off of each other really, really well. So it feels really good. So one of the things, again, right where I'm at with the nonprofit kind of transition, is really figuring out the process of like, okay, well, what does it look like as far as getting it started, right? Again, I mentioned like mission, vision, values kind of thing, like what the mission statement is, like what the purpose of it is, which obviously intertwines with my own story with dance and why I do the work that I do, but also like creating a community around this. So AKA the board, right? The board of directors of the nonprofit, and figuring out who fits the criteria that I'm looking for to represent not just, who I think would be a good support to advocate for my nonprofit, but also to have people who have the skills to be able to sustain it, whether it be, fundraising or technical writing or, community engagement, or also just the fact that they're a dancer and then they know the dance world, stuff like that. So that's kind of on my plate. And yeah, that's like a big chunk. So I feel like this summer is going to be my summer to really fine tune my message and fine tune what I'm all about in my nonprofit world. And also to kind of like be okay with the fact that I've been like talking to other dancers and saying, hey, be a for-profit, create a for-profit entity for yourself. because I'm like kind of anti nonprofit, just in the idea that like if you're an artist, you don't have to be a nonprofit, right? You don't have to be in service. But if that's what you want, clearly, then that's the direction that you want to head in. But I say that to dancers, like if you want to make money from your art and that's like the product or service that you're providing to the world, then of course, like be a for-profit. It really comes down to just being a tax designation at a certain point, right? But obviously, for-profit does have a lot of other, not clout, but like other stuff going on that makes it like purely like you exist to be in service to others. And that's why you're relying on people to fund this endeavor. Yeah, so there's a lot of like mental shifts for me to kind of like embrace as I go on this journey as well. But join me as I hopefully update you guys on the week, of what goes on with the whole behind the scenes process of like the internal work too that goes on beyond just like filing for the thing and like making it happen and finding funds, right? Like those are like obviously the main hurdles, but like all the stuff that we don't talk about a lot as far as tapping into the mission, vision, values, like how to create this viable structure from this vision that has been, is in my brain, because it still needs to be a sustainable business, because it's still a business, right? It's just called a nonprofit business, but we're still in the same game of making funds, aka profit. There's still that parallel between the for-profit and nonprofit world, but it just looks a little bit different and terminology is different. So yeah, hopefully this will help you guys figure out, what's right for you, as I go in this transition between for-profit and nonprofit. But at the same time, still nurturing my for-profit entity as well. Like if I'm going to be a speaker, then I need to also start marketing myself as that, making those connections, finding those gigs. So there's a lot of parallels if you are if you are fancy, I meant if you fancy to learn about this process. So I'm just peeling back the curtain here, laying it all on the line and saying, hey, if you need help, follow my journey. Hopefully it helps you thinking about the things that need to be thought about so that you can proceed on your journey. So that's it for this Monday. Lovely Monday in April. I will speak to you next week. Holla.